I was talking about Monique and her disposition in court and her come to agreement that she had with Netflix, right? And of course, I was just waiting for the moment for someone to come in and be like, well, matter of factly, I know the answers. First of all, I want to highlight something before I begin this. Before I go anywhere, though, I want to tell all you guys we got a weekly goal here. So make sure you donate to the Cash App, PayPal, or GoFundMe that's found in the description box and also in the pinned comment after this broadcast is done. I knew it was going to be a time sooner or later for somebody came in with that matter of factly, I got the answers. And they got the answers and didn't even listen to what I said, didn't even watch my video. What they did instead was this person, they commented earlier, and I left a comment there. I actually left a comment there regarding Monique coming to this agreement about her whole, you know, lawsuit with Netflix. And this person wrote, well, the EEC and the blah, blah, blah. And that's why Netflix chose to do this. And Netflix, you don't know why Netflix chose to come to an agreement with her. You don't know why Monique even it chose to agree to the agreement. But this matter of factly population that's here on YouTube, I keep telling you guys they are a problem. This woman went ahead and wrote a whole soliloquy about how she felt and followed it up. She didn't initially say, oh, I work at a courtroom or I do this. Da, da, da. She waited till I replied to her and I said these words. I said, ma'am, the details of the conclusion of the case has not even been littered to the public, meaning this. You have major news outlets, and I made sure I went to go look. You have major news outlets that don't even know the details of this case because, just like I said in my live, they're probably sealed. Meaning you don't know why Netflix came to that agreement. Not to mention that Netflix just did a whole because what she was leaning towards was, and she told actually three lies in the replies. And I'm going to get into this a little bit deeper because it goes much further than this one comment that I got. But what the woman did was she tried to circumnavigate through the conversation and turn her lies into reality. And no matter how much you bend your lie, if I hear a lie, I'm calling you out on it. Okay? Like I said, one, the details of Monique's case and the disposition of the case have not been allowed into the public. Okay? And probably never will be. That's for one. Number two, what's going on, PMH Global? Number two, the biggest part of all this is not only the details not allowed to the public or not been forthwith given to the public, no, not just that. The fact remains of this Netflix just did a special last month, and they were talking about discrimination and a litany of other different things. And this woman tried to put into the comments on her second comment, she then stated, and Netflix is being sued by a whole bunch of black people right now for discrimination practices and the blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, they're not. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna give her a gander. I went over and I took and I looked or whatever, whatever, and I couldn't find one ongoing lawsuit from any ex-employee that was happened to be black and it was happened to be in the center of race for Netflix, period. So this woman lied. Now, stay with me because I'm going to take you where I'm going with this. So then I went and looked a little further and I said, well, has Netflix been sued for any past actions or whatever they may have taken or not taken or whatever the case may be regarding to such subject? Nothing. Not a disposition, not a anything. Now, they have been sued for a couple other things, injuries, things like that, or whatever, whatever. So they are not without fault. But with that particular thing, no, they never have been sued. Now, to add on to and to give her some leadway, I will say that sometimes for the lack of embarrassment, being that Netflix has lost so many subscribers, one of the things they don't need is to have a case highlighting that and have it roll into roll into the public and deduced on the people however they want to. That how much I will say. But one of the problems I have more importantly than anything is what I was telling you guys earlier about this matter of factly population that we have online. A lot of people are online and they spewed, and I want to also add this in. So I went to the woman's page, and mind you, like she said she came back with her rebuttal. I've been in law for 10 years, and sometimes I stayed at 2 a.m. in the morning. And 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 what I have all reason to believe this lady's no more than a clerk maybe at the courtroom. A lot of people they inflate their actual, you know what I mean? So I said, okay, okay, cool. And then she said, "You just want to argue." Da, da, da. I said, "Well, ma'am," this is what she said in her rebuttal she wrote. Now, I'm going to get into it, but I just want to give you some details. And so she says, "You just want to argue with me, da da da." She couldn't refute what I said. She didn't pay attention to, ma'am, the details of the disposition of the case have not even been released to the public. So if I even said something at this point, like I said in my video earlier, but if she didn't listen to the video, she just read the title and decided to reply. That's the point. And this is why I try to tell you this matter of factly, it is the way I say it is population, whether you're dealing with movies, whether you're dealing with magazines, whether you're dealing with music, whether you're dealing with movies, whatever you're dealing with in the industry sense, is a danger nowadays. It's a big danger because you have a lot of people that are online, like I said before, that are very matter of factly. They want to dish things to you guys to make you feel like this is the way it is, and I know the answers, and blah, 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 blah. And many times, like I told you before, and I've tried to prove to you, many of these people that are making these absurd assumptions, lies, because that's what this woman did. She just completely lied. Many of these people that are doing this stuff, you have to come to the conclusion that many of them have never even graduated high school. Many of them have never attended a college. Many of them are not as accomplished as they will tell you or type to you online. Many of them, like this woman who in 8 years of being on YouTube only had 2 subscribers. And I'm supposed to take your word. I'm supposed to take your word. Even before I started getting all these followers that I got right now, I had at least 1,000 plus. You know what I mean? And I've probably been on YouTube the whole time she had. I just didn't utilize YouTube like I utilize it now. So when I went to her page, this is the thing. She had a page set up and says she sells beauty and health gear and stuff like that, or whatever, whatever, which even more so led me to believe this woman's a cat. But she's not the only one that's like that. See, there's other women and men that are like this online. This matter of factly bunch that will sell to you and shovel feed and force feed to you. And the thing that always you can tell that this is what they're trying to do is when they start out with stuff like this woman did. Listen, I got the answer. You got the answer. So I don't even have the answers to this because I don't know. I don't know. That's why I approached it that way. I don't know. But this matter of factly bunch that you have on YouTube nowadays, they're dangerous. And I'm going to tell you why they're dangerous. And I'm going to make this very quick because this is not a long conversation that needs to be had, but I wanted to talk about it. So you have a lot of individuals that are on YouTube that are vying for attention. I would say more so it's on an equal plane nowadays with the men and the women. You understand? Nothing about them is natural. Nothing about them says anything about they've done any research. They've looked, and with a quick Google search before they started typing, they could have really saved themselves a lot of time in a lot of cases. More in fact, a lot of them will get on here and whatever they have speculated in their mind, whatever they guess in their mind without actually looking and digging into the details, they will present to you on their YouTube pages or social media as being found fact. I've seen some pages that are now on YouTube, and I think YouTube, you need to start cleaning this up, that have over 400, 500,000 views, and the title itself and the details within the title are amazing. I saw one, and I think I'm gonna start sharing some of these because I don't give a crap if they get views or not. But the problem I have is these pages and these people that are creating these pages are Black and Latin. And one of the pages in particular that was hilarious to me was Will Smith is now getting a divorce. And I said, really? And this person went along and had a whole diatribe of why Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith were about to announce their divorce. I saw another one. Another one, and this one that had details and said that Lizzo actually was being kicked out of the music industry because recently she had some lyrics that some people didn't like regarding to people with disabilities. So they said, Liz, it's all over for Lizzo now. Lizzo ain't going nowhere. And I'm not even a Lizzo supporter. I can tell you Lizzo ain't going nowhere for at least the next 3, 4, 5 years. Okay? Or unless she matriculates into some other type of business. Lizzo ain't going nowhere. We go. She's like that cousin you just gonna have to embrace. You know what I mean? Like, damn, he had to cook out again. She had to cook out again. Told you to invite her over here. This matter of factly bunch that views a lot of lies to you guys. One of the things that I always find is they're always an expert in everything, aren't they? They're always an expert in everything. This woman pretended with me and lied and said she was an expert in law. Well, man, if you were an expert in law, and the thing that set her apart was she said, I've lurked in the paralegal field. When you say the paralegal field, that means that you're either a clerk, you're either a stenographer, you're either somebody that you might even be a bailiff, you know what I mean? But you're not a lawyer, okay? And when she said, I work sometimes at 2 a.m. in the morning, da, 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 you might be free legal aid. Which those guys, if you ask any guy that's been in jail before, he gets one of those free legal aid guys. The guy that's going to court right now, Eric Holder, he's got one of those public defender type guys or whatever. Let's see how far he gets. So you didn't quite set the world on fire, let's say that, or set the world on fire. But people like to inflate their actual positions in life. They like to inflate a lot of things that they've done in their life or whatever the case may be for the sake of garnering a crowd, garnering people to look around them. Now, this woman wrote this long paragraph on my page because I know why. She saw all the followers on my page. And this is why I keep telling you guys, especially you guys that got a couple thousand followers, be wary of people like this. If you're building your YouTube page, especially too, chime in, listen into this. You have to be wary people. See, there's people that's the first thing they do, like I told you, this is the screw thing about the subscriber thing. There are people, black and Latino specifically, that will come to your page and they will see how many followers you have, right? And based off the followers, they'll then equate it to how many followers they have. And if they have material on their page, which many times they do, but if they have material on their page, what they'll do is they'll try to circumnavigate by their comment traffic to their page. So in other words, you're looking at the comment, you'd be like, you know what, she might be right. Right on. And so she's hoping that you'll click her page, go to her page, and subscribe to her page, who hasn't done an upload in almost the past 3 years. At least has some material when you do this. These people that do this, and it's not just the women, it's the guys too. And you guys should really listen to what I'm saying. Like I'm honestly trying to help here, and and people just I don't know. People always take me the wrong way in certain groups, and it's okay. It's all right. But what you're getting is you're getting this matter of factly bunch, and I see them rising more and more and more and more, where they state something that's out of speculation. They state something that's totally untrue. They state something that via their observation through their eyes and the lack of paying attention to details or whatever the case may be, they now present to a crowd, depending on how many of their followers are. I'm going to say at the average, you need at least 1,000 followers to even go live on here, all right? So they then suggest to their followers, this is the truth. Now their followers run off, and some of them have YouTube pages, so now they run with the same speculation and run with the same thing. So now you have a whole troop of people that are matter of factlies. That's what I'm gonna start calling them. Matter of factlies. They have no detail in depth. They admit information. They'll do anything to make that moment that they upload whatever they upload or they go live whatever they go live be more variable than what it is. And they do this for the sake of popularity. It's like dealing with teenagers. The matter of factly YouTuber sees a commodity of truth as an option rather than a stand. Thank you. This is why I love this guy. They freaking sit there and they will literally lie to you. And then I'll watch the super chats and everything else. And it'll just be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Even if you look at the replay, you can see the people that donated to them. And I'm like, well, how the fuck do you know? And why didn't you? And what you'll find is they're not having a conversation about what exactly the facts are. They're having a conversation about how they internalize things, how they feel, what their whole what can I say disposition is about it. And that's the dangerous thing right there. Because when you got people like that do things like that, that means they'll say anything. They'll let anything fly. They'll feed you anything, all for the sake of a dollar. Now, I know I can make probably 10 to 20 times as much money if I wanted to. If I just bent this whole channel and just turned it around and made it about controversy, made it about telling lies, made it about gossiping about everybody every 5 minutes or whatever, whatever. But even though I partake in some of it, and I'm talking about like at 1/3, got to keep the channel going. That's what some of y'all are attentive to. It always somehow or another bequeaths me when people just won't be honest, when especially when they say it's for the people. They care so much about the people. They so much in tune with the culture. Blah 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 blah. But what I'm starting to find out more and more and more is a lot of you guys are just sitting up here and you're doing more of a disservice to the culture than freaking anybody in the KKK or anybody else could do. Because what you do is you sell people lies based on the fact of you're trying to become popular. And the thing about a lie is when you tell a lie, you got to keep up that lie. Now, there's a woman, and I'm not going to say her name, I'm going to tell you about this matter of factly crowd. There's a woman who, even as of last night, has still been using Kevin Samuels. I think what you want to about him. This is my point. Still been using Kevin Samuels' name to drive views to her channel, right? And she talks about him in a negative connotation. And that's all right if that's what she wants to do. I really don't have no problem with that. I can't stop that. But what I do have a problem with is this woman was also one of the women that first got up on her screen and tried to say that the woman that was with Kevin Samuels when he died, she was a fat, obese woman, which we later found out that wasn't true. She then segued from that when that was found out to be true, and then she started saying that the woman was a transvestite or a transsexual woman. We found that not to be true. The woman is very feminine. So then after that, she transcended. Then she went into, oh well, she's an immigrant. Then that didn't work. So then she transcended into, oh well, I've heard that she might have had something to do with Kevin Samuels' death. Then that didn't work. So then she transcended into something else. And she is subsequently, week after week, for the past 5, 6 weeks now. I mean, you can literally go down her videos and you'll see at least once a day out of litany of maybe 2 to 3 videos she puts up a day. You will see her with a video disrespecting this man in some form or fashion. But not just disrespecting this man, bending the story around any old way she can to make this man look foul. And she will state facts which happen within it and put them as matter of factly. What I mean by that is, if you pay attention to what happened with Kevin Samuels, so you pay attention to what happened from the moment. I'm talking about from the moment you can look on my page and it will show it a sequential order. From the moment there was just a rumor that he might have died, up to the point that we've now confirmed that he had died. I was there on it. And so I remember all those rumors. I remember all those things, and I remember how it was being sold so much to everybody. Right? Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button if y'all could. And the funny thing about it was, as these people were still professing this was a matter of factly what was going on online, what you started seeing is based off of TMZ, based off of local news agencies, based off of information coming out, based off the 911 call that we all have heard now, these people started not to retract their statements like anybody with dignity would do. Oh no, what they did was they started going further and they started trying to clean their self up. See, this is a form of manipulation. This is what manipulators do. Now, ladies and men, I want you to understand something. Don't pretend that a lot of these people on here are not manipulators, because they are. And they will do anything and say anything to you to sell you something that's BS. That's the difference between myself, a lot of other YouTubers, and this crowd. They're two different crowds. And I know you guys are not necessarily YouTubers, you consume YouTube, but you're not YouTubers. And so the way it works is a lot of times when you have these shocking, lying stories or whatever, they saturate the feed. And the reason they do it is because of shock value. And another reason they do it is because a lot of times when you put up these shocking titles and you have the shocking information point in it and it's false, for some reason or another, YouTube moves it right through the fields. You understand what I'm saying? And if you have something that's honest and truthful and is actually this good, it seems for some reason or another, the YouTube algorithm seems to like filter it and push it to the back. You understand? So the liars sit in the forefront for some reason or another. Now I know you guys are probably familiar with this because you would say the same thing about the national news, the national news outlets, CNN, NBC, ABC, Fox. You would say the same thing about them. And this is why we have a lot of citizen journalists that do political commentary and things like that on the side, like the Young Turks and other people like that. I'm not supportive of any or. But my point is, this is why you have those people. These same people exist within the hip hop genre. These same people exist within the black genre. These same people exist within the Latin genre too. And the same poison that they're saying you're being fed, they're learning the tactics of that poisoning and adapting it to using it towards you by lying to you, by telling you and making up stories, by telling you, oh, I know the answers. I know how it really went. I know who really did it. These Nancy Drew sleuths that we have running amok on the internet. And so many people choose to sit back and believe them and donate money to them. I believe in you. I can give you two examples right now. Umar Johnson. How you doing, pal? He's a liar. Anybody want to disagree with that? Anybody want to argue with that? I could do it right now with you if you like. He's a liar. Tariq Nasheed, where's the museum? He's a liar. Yet people will donate thousands and thousands of dollars to these matter-of-factly types that sit there and dictate to you. So this is what I want to say to a lot of people. I spend a lot of time, and I mean a lot of time. Sometimes I'm so tired you wouldn't even imagine it. Sometimes I stay up all night long editing footage. Sometimes I stay up all night long following duration or the uptick of a story because I want to have it. And who knows, that might be that story that moves your page a little bit. So this is the sacrifices we have to make. These are the sacrifices a lot of the viewers don't know about. This is what we live. This is what we do. This is how we make our money. And so I sit back and I look at the people that are the matter of factlies that just literally go online, think of something in their head, and they say, hey, you know what? We're going to tell them this today. We're going to tell them this. What can we make up? Let's make up that Young Thug is telling on everybody in prison right now. That'll work. And then they roll with it. And now you got a whole crowd of people that think this guy's telling or this guy's doing whatever. And they believe it, and now they pick it up, and now other bloggers roll with it, and now it becomes a matter-of-factly situation. You see? That's how easily it works. So when I tell you these things, I try to tell you these because I try to tell you for one of three reasons. One, don't be the detriment of your own demise, for one, because that's what you're headed to. It's all fun and shits and giggles right now. But trust me, a lot of you are attributing and contributing to the demise of yourself. Okay? And I know we're having a moment right now. I know everybody's feeling liberated, everybody's feeling free or whatever. Even though I believe with the gumption, if you have to force people to like your lifestyle, force people to like your color, force people to like your gender, force people to like your culture, there's really no respect there. There's only tolerance. And a lot of you may or may not believe that, may not believe in it, but I know better. I know way enough better. And so when you get these people that go on YouTube and tell you these lies, whether it's in the comment form or whether it's on somebody's page or in a chat room, or if they tell you a lie based on they do a whole live about it or do a whole upload about it or whatever the case may be, the one thing I want to say to you guys is start doing your research on these people. Start seeing how consistent they are. See how non-consistent they are. Start seeing if anything they're telling you actually bears any truth to it. And what you'll find is many times it doesn't. And these are the same people you donating $50, $100, $200 to, and they really don't care anything about the culture. They don't care anything about things getting better. No, what they do is keep on the staplement of what has been going on in this country for a very long time. Lies. And they've been taught these lies by watching TV, by watching YouTube, by watching other YouTubers. And they say, just like in The Mandalorian, this is the way. To be a complete, total, utter lying lame to your own people that are already being lied to. This is not somebody that's for the people. This is somebody that's a problem. And however long it takes you guys to start realizing that and start seeing it, maybe for some of y'all just have to mature a little bit. But some of these people that are doing these things, they are mature, you know? This is one chick that's on here that she's about 50 something years old, 55, I think she is about now. She used to have a whole bunch going on in media. She really did. I know exactly who she is. Not only have I met this woman, I wrote in the comment section before, hey, do you remember me? Like I do with a lot of people. A lot of people that know me from that industry, they know how I do. If I haven't seen you in a long time or whatever, I'll be like, hey, it's me, or whatever the case may be. This woman I'm not gonna say a name because then that causes problems. But this woman, she's now a YouTuber. Now, when I say this woman used to be in media, I can tell you this. She used to work for Entertainment Tonight at one time. She's worked for other different publications as far as doing little gossip columns before it became real big here on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera, right? So this is a woman that's known within the business. It's not someone that's not known, okay? And now I probably caught 9 times where people have wrote in this woman's comment section. This is a season. I want to remind you. This woman comes from the. I can even go this far. She comes from the time and knows Wendy Williams. She not only comes from the time of Wendy Williams' ascension. Not only that, but she's worked in the lights of Wendy Williams. She just never was big as Wendy Williams. Okay, so that some people be able to deduce that down who it is. Until I said hi again. Chick didn't even speak back to me. You know me. It's funny. That's another thing they do too. They'll pretend like they don't know you. Oh, I don't think I remember them. You don't remember me. I got you. I don't give a fuck if you remember me or not. There's a guy that's 25 years old right now that's got a master plan on how to bring in the next batch of things. You know what I mean? I don't care if you remember me or not. When you're on your way out the door. My point I'm getting at here is this. This woman, I've watched her now several times. I've watched now at least 9 comments I've read on her page where people plain out blatantly say, Miss, you're lying. But yet this woman maintains at least 30 to 40,000 listeners a day. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're lying to people, why do they keep coming back? And what I found out is this old adage that many people have said before. Some people like the convenient lie better than the truth. They like the convenient lie better than the truth. And if you're looking for lies, don't come to this channel. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm not here to blow smoke up your butt. None of that. All right. I'm here to tell you what I know from my perspective. I'm here to not only that, but try to enlighten you on some things you should be watching for with some of these people. Because like I told you, a lot of these YouTubers are like 3 card Molly. You know what I mean? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? To, you know, that'll be you know, that's how a lot of people are. Yeah, they're playing games with you. They're playing games out of popularity. They're playing games. I don't give a damn about popularity. I really don't. I hope that my channel stays under 30,000 at the peak. You know what I mean? Which I know sooner or later it's going to be that one video that, just like the 3 other ones that I've gone viral with so far, it'll end up being the one that takes me over the bar. And then I'm going to start getting into that 100,000 range and then maybe possibly million range. You know what I'm saying? But we're not going to quit YouTube. That's the thing. Kevin Samuel, speaking of him, he did YouTube for a couple of years before he became financially profitable. And I like to thank people like TMH, Annette, and a couple of others that constantly come, not only support me, but support this channel, hit the like button, etc., etc., etc. That know that, hey, at least that one right there, he's not blowing smoke up people's butt. So I appreciate people like that for one. And two, TMH, thank you for that donation the other day. I didn't see that button. I appreciate that because I needed that. And anybody else that wants to donate and support this channel, you can do so by going to the description box. We got 3 options there for you: PayPal, GoFundMe, and $ STRINGERBELL80. But like I said, I only look for a certain batch of people to understand where I'm coming from. And some of you are going to have to play catch up. But for this woman, and hopefully if she sees this, I just want to say to you one last time, because I wrote a couple things that were kind of snarky in the comment section, but I meant every last one of them. I don't know you, lady. I don't care anything about you. Not based on the fact that you're an individual, based on the fact that you had this matter-of-factly type of disposition. Listen. Anytime some woman or man starts out the conversation like that, and I don't care what color you are, but especially a lot of times when you're black or Latino and you start out with listen, that means you're trying to convince me of something. You're trying to prove to me something that isn't there. And I know better than worse that you trying to prove to me that something that isn't there is there. I know that's an alert for me to start high telling or giving rebuttal, one of the two. And most of the time, what I choose to do is I just choose to, well, get rid of you off my channel. I don't want people on my channel. I've had people that commented on stuff and they think they're doing me a favor by commenting. I'm like, click. I'm having a full-fledged conversation with someone, and that's the reason I pointed out TMH and the net and all of them. I'm having a full-fledged conversation with someone that has never even donated to my page. This is a wayward YouTube account that wants to come over and spew whatever she wants to say on my page with the amount of followers I got. And I say to you, ma'am, you ain't paid for no real estate over here. You want to come and make a comment, you want to say, hey, good for Monique or something like that, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. But when you start writing the whole half page books on my page, you ain't donated a dollar to dollar sign STRINGEBER, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. And I got a problem with anybody that does it. I never leave comments that are book worthy. I never sit around all day long and flag people's pages like somebody flagged my page, like I told you guys earlier, 7 times in one day. 7 times. I don't even be on here. And the one they flagged it was funny. They flagged the one about black fathers. They flagged that one. They flagged the one about Nipsey Hussle, and they flagged the other one was about Monique when she was having her dispute with DL Hughley. Those were the three that they flagged over 7 times. So meaning one of them they flagged 2 times and claimed the footage is theirs. I don't know how they did that, but none of them went through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-upload them because of the simple fact that happened. But every time that happens, or while you get flagged or something like, it comes right to your email. And if you don't see it in your email, you can see it in YouTube Studio or whatever the case may be. And sometimes they'll give you the person that did it, depending on what they claimed in the report. You know what I'm saying? So if they claim ownership, you have to put your name there. So they gave me an email or whatever and a false name, a false screen name, but it doesn't tell me who the person is. And I'm just like, wow, what a loser. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're a real loser. But like I said, once again, you don't have to worry about the Klan. You don't have to worry about white folks really lying to you. Nowadays, you got to worry about blacks and Latinos lying to you because they will do anything and they will sacrifice you and throw you out to dry to get ahead. Crabs in a barrel, 2022. Guys, that's all I wanted to say about that. I really don't have too much to say about that. I may or may not come back tonight or whatever, but I will sure be doing some uploads. And if you're a member of this channel, I appreciate if you would support this channel. We have a goal every week of $400 to $500, and I would hope that you would attribute to that. Others do. So if you frequent here, please feel free to donate to dollar sign STRINGERBELL80. If you don't have Cash App, you can also try out PayPal or GoFundMe, which are both available in the description box and also be in the pinned comment. And I just want to say this before I leave. Stop donating thousands, if not hundreds of dollars to people that are literally making up stories and lying to you, all in the guise of gossip. You guys have got to start getting out of this whole gossip routine. In 2024, 2025, if you're still talking about gossip and you think that it has, first of all, gossip, did you know it is a sin? It's a cardinal sin in the Bible. Do not covet thy neighbor. Second thing is slandering someone. It's also a sin in the Bible. But you'll hear many of these people say, praise the Lord. God bless you. Like this one called me brother. I said, I told her straight up, I'm not your fucking brother. I'm not your brother. No, 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 no. I'm not your brother. You are matter of factly. You spew lies to people. I'm not your brother. I'm not your friend. I've had people come up on here and call me an immigrant. You understand what I'm saying? I've been called an immigrant since I was a freaking what middle school or something. I'm cool with that. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? At least I do speak another language. I speak 2 other languages. How about you? You know, you'd be lost. So it's scary, man. But I don't know. Maybe people of color need to start opening their minds a little bit more. Maybe they need to start living up the time and how can I say the tone, the vibe of gossiping as a way to get by on YouTube and actually start being what this place was made for creators. People to create original material that people consume, donate to, whatever the case may be, and keep the channels going. This is an art. Did you know this? That YouTube started out for artists, not gossiping or whatever, whatever. And I hate what it's matriculated into. But back in 2007, when this place started, this was for artists, graphic artists. I'm a graphic artist. I went to school for digital media. And people that were in conveysive means of being creators. This place wasn't meant to be a gossip zone. And somehow or another, I hate to say it like this, but the black Latin and white influence has made this a gossip hanger. It's just made it a gossip haven. And it's going to be very easy for another company to come in sooner or later and actually snatch a lot of the viewers from here. It's been a couple of attempts so far, a couple of attempts. But somebody's gonna land. And when that happens, I'm hoping, and I'm only hoping that most of that traffic doesn't go to that website, which usually happens. When MySpace went down, everybody went to Facebook. And then when Facebook got born, everybody went to Twitter. Then everybody from Twitter, they went over to Instagram. And each one of them, subsequently, all of them became poisonous, vague, and dull of any real information. There's very few YouTubers on here, in my opinion, that actually have like a good soliloquy of information. And even then, you have to deduce who they are as a person versus who they are as a YouTuber. And a lot of times you'll find they're very different people. These people are one person on YouTube, and when that camera's rolling, kind of like your stars. Isn't that funny? The same stars they point their finger at. And then when they're off camera, they're somebody totally different. And that's confusing. They don't live by a lot of the things that they talk about. They don't believe in a lot of the things that they talk about. And more importantly, they have no obligation other than to snatch money out of you and feed you lies. And then the people that are actually telling you the truth or trying to be honest with you, you guys don't even want to listen to them. You'll rub them, oh, you ain't got enough followers. Or how you got that many followers and only this many people in here? Or they try to financially shame you, make fun of your living conditions. I've seen it all, make fun of your gender, whatever the case may be, your cultural background, which seems to be the thing with me. I had somebody come in today and they were talking about future, what is it, something Black American, foundational Black Americans or something like that or whatever. And they made a racist statement. They said, well, he's an immigrant or something like that. And I was just like, yo, you got to go. And that guy had been in for a long time. But you know one thing about that guy? And this was the reason I found it so easy to block him. Because that guy had been here for probably like a year, right? And he was another one of those people that was like, yo, I'm going to donate to you. I'm going to donate to you. I'm going to donate, and never donated one fucking dime. Not one. I never had one cash out from that dude in a year. You understand what I'm saying? Even when I was like in a bad situation at one time, he used to just chime in and write in the chat, and I would respond to him or whatever. And then you end it off by saying immigrant, and everybody on here knows my background. Everybody on here, I've had like full conversations with people on live speaking Spanish. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you don't know, I'm half black and half Cuban American. So that's what I am. You know what I mean? So I don't take very, very lightly to that shit or whatever, whatever. And furthermore, just to be quite honest with you, one of the funny things is in all the islands, they all had slavery. And I do live with the contention that yeah, there are very many islands that have the light skinned inhabitants are hardened way past the degree that they are here in the United States towards this black population, especially when you're talking about Brazil, especially when you're talking about the Dominican Republic, and I would say Honduras is the other one, definitely. I've heard a lot of crazy stories come out of Honduras. So, it's crazy. And then there's other countries in the Caribbean that are not like that. Like Colombia is not like that. Panama is not like that. So when I hear people say things like that or whatever, whatever, and I'm a person that lives by people's actions versus what they say, you know, it just hardens me because I'm like, that dude was here for a whole straight year. And not one time did he reach in his pocket and say, you know what, let me go donate to this guy or something like that. It was amazing to me. But you wanted to call people immigrants. You won't do that here. I just wanted to end this with this, talking about that foundational Black American thing there. Because a lot of people seem to try to ride up under this, and I get it. I get it. I really get it. And, I still fit in the foray of it. Um, a lot of people try to talk about that subject or whatever, and I try to break it down early. I said, at the most of you, each one of you will get, even collectively by family, anywhere between $7,000 to $12,000. Okay, there's too many of you in the population to actually give you more than that. If you just do the math when it came to the COVID relief checks, all three rounds, and you saw how small amount of money that you got, because that's really a small amount of money, $1,200, $1,400, $600. It's really a small amount of money. If you look at that alone, okay, just that alone, if you look at that just alone, what you'll find is you'll find something very, very different. And what you'll find is this: the amount of money, that's $7,000 to $12,000. That's what I'm saying, because that's the only amount they're going to give you as being financial Black Americans. At that moment, when you sign and accept to take that check, it's going to be kind of like Barack Obama's presidency. You'll never be able to ask for anything else again. Never. Not under that, guys. You'll never be able to. I'm looking you straight in your face. You'll never be able to ask anything from this country ever again. In fact, what I would tell you is it's better if you don't ask for that money. Nah, don't ask for that money. What you ask is for is provisions. Provisions. That money will come and go just like those stimulus checks did. Any of y'all got your stimulus money still? Any of you? Right in the chat, you still got your stimulus money. I don't. I blew it. I was homeless. You know what I mean? I was buying food, buying, trying to keep myself together, paying for hotel rooms. It was et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was a hard trip. I'm willing to bet that most of y'all don't have those COVID checks anymore. And the same thing will happen within the theoretically ballpark of six, seven to $12,000 max that each one of y'all will receive, which would also be deduced down because of pure simple fact they're going to start doing it just like the COVID-19 checks, and they'll start looking at family versus solo individual versus couple with no children versus couple with one child versus couple with two children. Same metric system that they use right now to skew whether or not they're going to give money to whoever or whatever during the pandemic. I think it was during the pandemic they wasn't giving checks out to anybody that made over 85 to $100,000 a year. So when we talk about this whole foundational Black American, or FBA as it's called in this acronym, when we talk about that, you have to be realistic with yourself. Now, there's a lot more hurt that will come out of this, in my opinion, if you take a cash payout versus help. One, just like the COVID-19 checks, did you see anybody come together and say, hey, we need to spend the money this way? Did you hear anybody say that? Did you hear any neighborhoods say, hey, you know what? Everybody give me your check or whatever, whatever. We're going to put this in the ROK, or we're going to put this in the stocks, or hey, let me teach you and navigate you guys. No, you won't. It'll be just like that episode of Dave Chappelle when they got all that reparations money. Y'all remember that episode? He said, what? Delivery driver? I bought this whole thing of cigarette. I want to have Newports for the rest of my life. Beep, beep, I'm rich, bitch. Or the people at the check cashing center or whatever. You understanding what I'm saying here? So to take that $7,000 to $12,000, you'd be a fucking idiot. Because what it does at that point is it allows America to say to you, oh, you accept our apology. Okay, let's move on. You don't want that. Trust me when I tell you, you don't want that. It sounds great right now, but you don't want that little chump $7,000 to $12,000. What you want is provisions, programs, and what you want, more importantly, is laws placed in place. Laws that can't be amended, laws that are not meant to be amended, laws that are not taken off the books, and you need preventions for your kids. Because that little $7,000 to $12,000, I've seen people throw $7,000, $12,000 in front of me, my own eye, in front of the fucking strip club. And like, I'm dead serious. I've been in all of them. Shout out to King of Diamonds down there in Miami. I've seen people get the Brinks truck and have the Brinks truck bring them 50K, 20K to the freaking whistle name. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, that's the armored cars that pull up with cash. You know what I mean? And bring somebody 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand to the freaking strip club. Like, literally, that's what banks do when you request that amount of money after a certain amount of nights, depending on the count that you got. For some of y'all to be talking like y'all got that big money, that's big money. That little $7,000 to $12,000 projectively that I'm getting by my estimates based on the population of African Americans in this country, you will be getting chump change. And if they can deduce it any more than they already have by the projections, they will. Trust me on this. If you guys sit online all day long and say how the government fucks you, how the government screws you over or whatever, what makes you think they're going to play fair and square when it comes to giving a payout this huge that may cost not billions, but trillions? At least projected at least to be $2 to $3 trillion. And right now, do you think they'll do it? Doing the whole Ukrainian debacle Everything else, no, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I can look you straight in the eye and tell you they're not going to do it. They won't even give money in the form of another COVID stimulus check. And instead, they have just given $1 billion, if you don't notice, to Ukraine again to further them so they can have weapons. And a country that's all the way in Western Europe, that's not part, I want to say this, not part of the European Union, not even part of NATO. So, well, they're part of the European Union projectorily in the future, and I think that's what they want to make. But that's a whole different conversation. I don't want to get this thing flagged for talking about the Ukraine. There seems to be a thing if you talk about them in a negative or positive light here on YouTube, kind of like the virus. So I won't talk about that too much. But I don't think they're going to give you too much money. I really don't. And I think if you're a fool, if you take that little, which is equivalent to basically a COVID relief check, and you take it and you run with it. Now, a lot of people are going to ask me, why did I block that kid off my page when he said that? I blocked that kid off my page when he said that FBA thing because this is the thing. We talk about all this FBA stuff and how you want a free check and everything like that or whatever, and I'm not trying to insult anybody. But at the same time, financially, what have you done to support my channel? Financially, what have you done to support anybody else's channel? See, that's economics. Economics means that you keep the money in your community and you roll it around in a circle. You don't go get the money, say $7,000. See, I'm gonna make this how quick this could be. Say this check's for $7,000, right? That's what they were giving you for, grievance checks. I can right now point to you. There's an 8K TV is sell at Target that sells for about 2,500. Then the next thing could be somebody will go buy a car. Then the next one will go buy a chain. Then you got to have your sneakers, sneakers. Then after that, you'll go buy a couple fits, go to the highest end restaurant you can find, go take a couple neighborhood thoughts out. You know what I mean? You'll blow it within, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks or whatever, whatever. But the ramifications of you blowing that check and blowing that money will stay for a very long time. See, you at that moment, you've given the United States government the go ahead to say, we don't owe them anything anymore. We don't owe them an apology. We don't owe them any further reparations. It's all said and done. So when y'all get this check, just remember, don't come around here asking for nothing no more. Don't come around here asking for nothing no more. And that's what they're going to do to you. Now, you don't have to believe me. And you can think that your black way is going to work and this way it's going to be. You can't force this argument. You will not be able to force this argument. I can tell you that already, based on the preconceived notions they have about you already. Please don't forget that. So make sure you include that in your argument and your delusion as you were moving forward. Now, I'm telling you what I'm going to tell you, and you may or may not like it or whatever the case may be, but I got to tell you again. Many of you into adulthood have never been around white people. Many of you into adulthood, if you have been around white people, it's been in a very minuscule measure. Me, I'm a little bit different. I know a couple other black and Latin dudes that are very similar to me here on the Connecticut shoreline, which this state is mostly, population is mostly Italian, Greek, and Jewish. You can look it up for yourself. All right. So we're a very white bread state, if you want to say, in so many words. But we don't have a lot of racism here. We have snarky people. We'll have we're more of a class state more than anything here in Connecticut. We're more of a classism versus racism here. Now, there are some racists here, and there are some bigots, and there are some jerks. Don't get me wrong. They exist here, especially the further north up the state you go, up to Hartford County. But one thing I learned about growing up with whites, whether when I was down south or whether I was in Connecticut, both, growing up around it, because it was the exact same thing when I lived down south. My mother, the last place I lived with my mother, had a golf course built around it, had a sauna, pool, tennis courts, and the golf course was built around the facility. Inside, we had a working fireplace. She had her own bathroom in her room in the master bedroom. I had my own bathroom in my bedroom, and so on and so forth, with the two other sequential rooms. Huge main bathroom or whatever, huge kitchen. It was a beautiful place. This is no lie. The place was named Sterling. I think it was called Sterling Wood or something like that. Their corporate apartment. That was the last place. And we had always lived in places like that, for a good amount of the time I was growing up. I make no mistake about my background or anything like that. I don't like to sell people a farce. You know what I mean? Yo, I was rough and stuff. Yo, we ate sugar for breakfast. Nah, that wasn't the way it was in our house. Um, The reason I brought this up is because I find so many times that a lot of YouTubers get on here and they talk about, matter of factly, once again, using that statement, how whites are and how they think and who they are and why they did this and blah, 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 right? And I'm not taking up for the white crowd and any noke or mention or whatever that are oppressive to people, who are binding to people, who are, how can I say, just flat out jerks. No, I'm not taking up for them. But I'm telling you, in a greater perspective of growing up with them, spending nights at their homes, eating breakfast, Christmases, holidays, birthdays, swimming in their pools. I remember one of the kids I grew up with, Hunter Weichel and Pierce Weichel, like their dad was a fireman. Like I grew up around these people. So I know how they think to, let's say, a 70 to 80% margin. Okay. You take that and you put it with somebody that grew up in the hood all their life or whatever, and grew up mostly around blacks and Latinos, especially in the New York City tri-state area. But I'm more specifically talking about New York and Jersey more so than anything. It doesn't get suburban until you get into South Jersey outside of Newark. People who live down there, they know this. And so you have like a little small towns on the east side of east of Hoboken and what's that other one? Newport and all those places or whatever. But the majority of like rural Jersey is right after Newark, New Jersey. And that's when you start getting places like Melville and all that or whatever. I got a lot of friends that are Italian that live down in Jersey down there that have lived for years, and if some of their family lives here right here in Connecticut, that's how I know them. Shout out to Joey and Dominic. I love you guys for real. That's my partners right there, Joey and Dominic. I ain't gonna say your last name because then people, you know how that goes. But great restaurant they got down there. It's always amazing when I go there and I'm like the only person of dark skin hue in there. Some people just look and they're like, and then some people are just like, "Hey, what's going on?" It just depends on who's there. But I never let that bother me. The point I'm getting at with me saying all this is, you take these people and you listen to their word manufacturedly, how white people are, what white people are trying to do, or whatever. And sometimes they're in the queue of being right or whatever the case may be. But I will still stick by this contention right here. Unless you grew up with whites, you don't know how whites are. You're making guesses. You're making assumptions and being presumptuous and lacking them all into one group. The same way that many racist whites lack all you into one group. They're this way. They eat chicken, they eat watermelon, they steal. We got presidents and elected officials, governors, mayors, lawyers, doctors, keep on going for 200 plus years in this country. But that will be the story. So, what I want to tell you is this: the next time your favorite YouTuber starts telling you about white people and how white people are, whatever the case may be, I want you to ask them this question: where'd you grow up at? Who'd you grow up around? Well, most of the people that you grew up around, were they white or black or Spanish? Ask them. Ask them. A Latino, rather. I hate using the word Spanish. That's a language, not a culture. But ask them. Ask them. And see the response you get from them. Now, if you grew up in the high rises somewhere, whatever the case may be, no, you're friendly. I'll see many of these women, they'll come to work like this, and I can always tell because they'll have two personalities. The men, too, they'll have two personalities. Y'all never witnessed this before? When they're in front of somebody white, they're like, "Oh my God, how are you doing? Yeah, I thought." Then when there's somebody black enters the scene or whatever, it's usually followed by something like this, especially if that white person's still there. Like that stare that Steven gave Django when he was coming to the big house. It's usually that stare. That's where they got that stare from. You have to be familiar if you would understand. But that's where they get that stare from, that stare. That's that stare that Steven gave Django. And you notice how he talked to Calvin Candy and how he talked to Django. Subservitude, subservient attitude, subservient means, subservient wits. These are how some of these guys are. So they're selling you a farce if they tell you anything about the white population, if they tell you anything about white people as a secular or whatever the case may be. No, in fact, what you need to start listening to is people that are natural and are naturally from these areas and locations and can tell you, hey, listen, this is what they're thinking. That. Instead, these same type of people will try to shut these people down. Oh, he a coon, he a coon. Everybody that grew up suburban is not a coon. Okay. Everybody that grew up in the hood is not real. I can listen. I've been through all of them. Marcy, Sumner, you name them. I've been through them at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. If my man was up here right now, he know because he was around there with me. Shout out to Uptown. Shout out to Jerry. Shout out to a couple other people that know what I'm talking about. I'd have been through Riverport Towers in the Bronx. I'd have been through all of them, literally all of them. And to this day, I can still go through them, and have no problem because I'm not a troublemaker and I know who I am. So don't take it like I'm trying to insult you. But what I'm saying is, it's kind of like if you've never had veal before, but you're trying to tell people, yo, this is what veal tastes like. Or you've never been to France before, but you're trying to tell people, matter of factly, this is what France is like. Or you've never been to Africa before, and you're trying to tell people, this is how it's like in Africa. Take that same provision and take that same notoriety and put it in your mind and make sure you adapt it and put it into when you're listening to certain YouTubers out here. Because a lot of these people are lied to. A lot of these people have no experience whatsoever around whites, especially, and I can tell you here in suburban Connecticut, where I've spent most of my life, okay, if not my whole entire adult life. I've spent more time here as an adult than I've ever have in Miami or Virginia as a child. That's a fact, So this is what I know. It's just surprising that you have so many people that get online and matter of factly make these bold statements about what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, or whatever, and they actually have no clue because they have no familiarity. They have no familiarity. Most of these people that you talk to, like one day when I was online, this lady, well, no, I wasn't online that day, but I can tell this quick story real quick to give you an example, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So I was at the store one day. And I just happened to be talking to one of the viewers is here, and that I don't think she's here right now. She's probably sleeping something, but that's my homegirl. If you see this on a rebroadcast, I was talking about you, and then I had to work, so I wasn't picking up the phone. I love you though. You say you was calling this weekend. Anyway, I had to throw that in. That's some personal shit. That's my homegirl. Me and Annette be having some lengthy conversations. Sometimes I just have to let it go because I'm like, I gotta keep the channel going. But she was on the phone with me at that time, so she was my witness. And I'm gonna just tell you a quick story, real quick, or whatever, how people misconstrued a couple of dollars in their newfound positions into actually where they're from and their background. And so I'm at the store and I'm smoking a cigarette before I go in the store. And I'm leaning my arm against the basket and I've got Annette literally on speakerphone because I'm smoking a cigarette, like I said. Thank you so much, TMH Global. He said, $ STRINGERBELL 80. Donate, appreciate, or vacate. That's my man's right there. I appreciate that. Yeah, make sure y'all throw something in the Cash App. There's also a PayPal link, and there's also one for GoFundMe. So if you don't have either one of those, you can go right there and donate to those vehicles as well. If you don't have Cash App and you don't need any sign up, let me iterate that. That's why I put those two there, because a lot of people said they had a problem with that. So I'm on the phone and I'm talking to her and I'm leaning up against the basket. And all of a sudden I see a little boy and a little girl walk out the store. So literally I turn my head to be respectful because I'm smoking a cigarette. I always do that. I've done that around my nieces and nephews, whatever the case might be. My mother used to do that around us. My mother's a smoker. And so she used to do that around us. She would turn the cigarette away from us or whatever. It's just not the thing to do. You don't blow smoke in little kids' faces. You know what I mean? And so I'm sitting there smoking the cigarette and I turn my head or whatever. And as I see them, there's like there's a split. So there's one where they have the rail right here. So say this is the rail and this is the basket right here, right? And then on the other side, there's a lane where you can walk to the fire lane or to your car if your car's parked there. And so I'm figuring I see the little girl walk towards where the fire lane is, where this Jeep is parked at or whatever. The little boy decided that and these are black kids, the little boy decided that he was going to whip in between me because he saw my back curb, but he brushed me as he was doing it. So I said, yo, what the hell, kid? And this was my words. What the hell, kid? I didn't look at this guy. I didn't say anything to him or whatever. He subsequently finds out that he can't get through this little area. So now he has to climb over the pole to get into the Jeep, which his mother plain and blatantly saw, I guarantee you. Now, this is my guess. He got into the car with mommy. Mommy. These mama's boys. He got in the car with mommy, and told mommy something totally different because mommy asked him probably, why did you do what you did? So, because she had this scene it. And when I say this kid did this quick stuff where he literally had to bend his body so he wouldn't hit me. So the woman jumps out the Jeep. She comes to me, and at first she's talking very eloquently. Excuse me, excuse me. Now, I'm looking at this woman as she's talking, and I'm like, this is what I mean by we know the difference here in Connecticut. This is not a woman. I'm not even gonna say we know the difference here in Connecticut. Let me reiterate that. We know the difference when we see one of our own. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't care what you're talking about. I'm talking about the accolade of collegiate. I'm talking about the accolade of intelligence. I'm talking about the accolade of just plain decency, you know? So this woman, she starts the conversation off, and like I said, I have a witness to this. Okay, one of my viewers was on the phone with me when this was happening, so I don't have to lie about it. I never lie. I make it a thing not to lie. And so she's sitting there and she starts talking very softly and very like, but I'm looking at her, and I think that's what ticked her off. I looked at the dollar store glasses she had on. I looked at the little BS Jeep she was driving because it was a bullshit ass Jeep. It was like one of those. I don't know what people get when you having these 2007, 2008 vehicles or whatever. And I'm not trying to be funny, but because everybody got to drive somewhere, right? But please don't stun in it. It's kind of like Corey Holcomb say. He said, well, she, if it comes regarding a woman, well, she all right, just don't brag about her. But she was front and stunting in the CRJ Jeep. Y'all remember those Jeep, the CRJs? This is like what high schoolers drive. A kid that's just first got his license or a 20-year-old going to freaking college drives these Jeeps. You know what I'm saying? Or a soccer mom that's got one kid. You know what I mean? This lady had two kids with her in this little cramped Jeep, and she really thought she was the shit. So the first thing out of her mouth is, well, I don't live around here. I live in Greenwich. And I'm like, okay. I've lived in Greenwich before. I know there's many places in Greenwich you can grab up. You know what I mean? I'm put it that way. And so that doesn't mean that you live in somewhere immaculate. That's what I'm forcing. And this is a black woman talking to me. I started further looking at her, and I looked at the clothes she was wearing when after she made the announcement that she lived in Greenwich. So she already had one against it because you made an announcement. You making that announcement, you made that on purpose so you can make it feel and put yourself in a position in the conversation where you thought you were better. You understand what I'm saying? This usually comes from people that come from nothing that do these type of things. People that come from nothing, they kind of have this type of attitude. Look what I got. Look at it. They shining, nigga, they spinning. They spinning, Chris Rock. They spinning, nigga, they spinning. It's nothing worse than coming around trying to stun on people. You understand what I'm saying? When you won't take your ass up the block and stun on white people because you know you're out of league. See, I understand that shit. But people that didn't grow up in suburban environments, they won't understand that. It's just a fight for all. I got more than you. I've got more than you. I got more than you. Never get into these conversations with people of what you have and facilitating it to people as if you're better than them. Because what you'll find is as big as you think you are, there will be somebody that comes up right behind you and they will show you how small you actually are in actuality. This woman continues the conversation that she's sitting there in these less than this luxurious clothing. I'm looking like the way she's talking, I'm looking for red bottoms. I'm looking for certain things that go along with you claiming who you are. Maybe I'm wrong, but for the most part, I didn't think I was. And I think that's what bothered her when I didn't give her the attention that she wanted, which even further let me know this is a woman from poverty, fronting with her newfound riches. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But what you're not going to do, ma'am, is think that you automatically are and somehow more accomplished than I am because I'm here to tell you, you're not. There's very few that are. You know what I mean? As far as my work history and background and everything like that. And notoriously so, we busted our butts. 17 years I worked in that industry. So I kept looking at this woman, which was newfound to her, but wasn't newfound to me. But I said, okay. So she kept going along. And then when she started doing what she went into the next phase, which I've noticed a lot of these women do, they come from these backgrounds, which now she's trying to control the argument. Oh, no, you're not controlling this argument. Oh, no, 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 no. To be quite honest with you, lady, I don't give a fuck about you or your fucking kids, all right? Because, first of all, you have ill trained children that act like that. You understand? And 9 times out of 10, they act like that and do whatever they want to in your home. And you're used to that. And you bring that accolade, and you bring it and you extend it to now the public. And now you think that the public should also treat your kids the same way, with the same empathetic eye and guys you do, based off the fact that you're you and you alone. Now, not at one point did I hear this woman bring her child, who, this wasn't a little boy, okay? This wasn't a 5-year old. This wasn't a 7-year old. This was a kid that was about 12 or 13 years old. At the least, he was about 11. All right. So this ain't no little boy that we're talking about here. We're talking about a fucking teenager. Okay. We're talking about a teenager. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know better. You know better. And I was hoping that she would bring the little boy out. So what I did was, I didn't cuss the woman out. I didn't get a loud one. I gave her respect, because we were in a crowd of folks. And like I said, most of my town is white. And so I didn't want to be the guy that was sitting outside the grocery store arguing with the chick that had a son and a daughter in the car. But this is the markers that she missed. She started getting louder. I still kept my guys. I didn't curse at this woman. I have a witness. But what I did was, I put her in a fucking place, because that was the one thing she didn't have. So I said it to her very subtly, and she didn't have one response. I said, ma'am, I spoke to your son. Well, excuse me. I didn't speak to your son. I spoke what I felt, and you don't control what I say. I said, and had I spoken to your son, I would have spoke to your son just like I spoke to my nephews, or whatever, whatever. Her response was, well, he's not your nephew. I said, I don't want him to be. And right when I said that, she took her happy-go-lucky ass, got in that Jeep, and pulled the fuck off. But right before she did that, I asked her this. I said, ma'am, are you even from here? Are you even from here? And I don't mean, were you born here? Were you raised here? No, I mean, are you from here? Currently, past, whatever the case may be. I have a history here. You understand what I'm saying? It goes back to 2004, maybe a little bit before that. And then before that, another part of Connecticut. I've got a kid buried in the ground in Connecticut. I have a long history in Connecticut. So, and like I said, most of my whole adult life, I've been here. So I was like, are you actually from here, ma'am? Or do you live here? Or da 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 da. And as she mentioned earlier, she lived in the next town over, which is very close. It's like minutes apart from here. So I was like, she didn't answer that either. She jumps into a Jeep, pulls off, whatever. I don't see anymore. And now from that moment on, I'm in a bad mood. And luckily, I was on the phone with Annette at the time. And she kind of calmed me down from it or whatever, because she saw the same thing I saw. This was a woman trying to show off, a woman trying to act like she was better than others, a woman that thought she had reached some part of opulence, where she didn't have to give a crap about her own men, or speaking about men in general, or she didn't have to respect men. And if you really dig down, like I said, like Shrek, you got to go through it with layers, like an onion. Ogres are like onions. We got layers. This big ogre of a woman, because that's what she was. She was a big ogre woman, big woman. And this is a big woman, you know? And I'm not making fun of big women. I'm just saying this was a big broad. This is not the typical chick that I would be like, listen, I don't care if a girl got some. Entonces sabe la mujer latina, entonces sabe chichas aquí. I ain't worried about that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that looks real good on some women. No, I'm talking about un full sado and full gordita. Porco. For my Latinos. Porco. Como Ecue. This chick blow bubbles with sausage. Oh shoot. Type of chick to get 3 Big Macs and be like, yo, let me get a Diet Pepsi. I ain't making fun of fat people. This is who she was. So she wasn't an attractive woman. So it wasn't that, but she thought she was attractive in her mind. So right there, we have a couple things misconstrued. One, she was trying to act like she had class, which you didn't. Okay. Your latency of not being able to control yourself in an environment in front of your 2 kids in an open environment like that, or whatever the case may be, when everybody around me, including the guy after she pulled off, one of the guys that was having the baskets, they bring the baskets back to the store and everything after that in the parking lot. He says to me, And everybody hears him. He was like, her son was wrong. I said, I know. You know what I mean? Like he agreed with me. And I was just like, yo, that's crazy. But this comes from a child that doesn't have a father in his life. This comes from a child that doesn't have any obedience. This comes from a child that literally will probably grow up being the same guy that a lot of these women complain about, a mama's boy. Well, mama said it was all right. Mama said it was okay, so I'm gonna do it. Mama, you big sissy. Boy, 12 years old ain't like a sissy. It's crazy. That woman, on the second hand, she thought that she was somehow spry or current with that $15 outfit she got on that she probably got from, what's that store called? The little cheap store, Rainbow. Where they going to now? They going to some other store now. It's another popular one. It used to be Rainbow. Rainbow is for all the big chicks. You know what I mean? So she probably got that little $15 outfit she put together at Rainbow, the little cheap glasses. It probably cost like $3 or $4 from the local vendor on the street. You know what I mean? She put it all together collectively or whatever, whatever. And based on that, she thought she was somebody. Now, this is a woman that felt with this ghetto looking outfit that she had on and the way she had it put together. And I will give her this, her kids were well dressed. But with this ghetto attire she had on, she really thought she was somebody. She really thought she fit in the factor of white society. And I'm like, you look like the maid at the local hotel. That's what you're giving. You're giving me maid at the local hotel vibes. And that's probably who she was. Someone that was unfulfilled, unaccomplished, that was trying to proceed to give people the, how can I say, the notion that she was more than what she was based on her own low self-esteem or whatever the case may be. And she looked at me as someone who, she in the back of her mind, she had to say to herself, there's no way he could be more accomplished than me. I'm a nurse. Or I make up hotel room beds. And sorry, chick, yes it is. Truth is, I probably got a better credit score to you. Truth is, I probably got a better credit history to you. Truth is, I probably got a better, well, I'm pretty sure I'm positive I got a better work history to you. Because even when I had just started that, I would never drive any of that shit that she was driving right there. And as you guys can see by pictures I put up, Lambos, Maseratis, Benzes, every model of them. I look at some of these Benzes that are riding around right now, and I swear to God to you, I'm like, we were in that the year it came out. They're still driving that. Or I'll look at some guys and they'll be driving CLK Benzes, and a CLK Benz, any C model Benz is a woman's Benz. That is not a Benz made for men. That's why you'll see a lot of people in a CLK or a C model Benz, and they always bending over, or short men get them. Short men always get CLK Benzes. Ask anybody that knows Benzes. And a lot of times these guys get those cars and they can't afford to repair them. The repairs on some of these cars, especially if you're talking about Maserati, Porsche, if you're talking about a Lamborghini or whatever, whatever, the maintenance on these cars can cost you at least, I'm going to say 2 to 3 grand easily a month. And that's at the lower end spectrum. We're talking about a shock, maybe some electronic dialysis, whatever the case may be. They're very expensive cars to upkeep. And if you get some body damage, oh, forget about it. Oh, Jesus Christ. They might charge you $5,000 to take a dent out, you know what I mean? And repaint it. I saw how this woman was acting, and I saw the virtue in her, and I said to myself, this is a woman that's stuck in between herself, and that's why I took y'all so far with that story. This is a woman that literally didn't know who she was and was lost in a spectrum of the world that I see a lot of YouTubers and people just in society stuck in, where they're trying to prove something to someone. If you want to prove something to somebody, actually do the work and accomplish it. Then, after you accomplish what you accomplish, you still got to prove to people that everything that you learned and everything that you've done is worth something. And if you can't do that, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's in your work environment, whether it's in a social environment, or whatever the case may be, then not only are you worthless and ill-gotten for just the rest of us, but you're worthless and ill-gotten for society as a whole. So that lady that gave me that reference and matter-of-factly said a pure out lie to make herself look like she was in a higher echelon than she actually was in life, I want to say to you, lady, F you, and everybody that lives in your house, for starters. Two, stop lying all your life. On your page, you say you're into beauty, makeup, and you run your own business. Yet that page has been up and abundant for 8 years and only has 2 followers. We can't take your word for anything. if you don't put in the work. Second thing I want to say about that lady is who left that long, book long comment on my page. I haven't I had a long comment like that in a long time. When you speak about things, make sure that you can prove yourself. You see? Because if you can't prove yourself, what'll happen is coincidentally, you might end up in court. You say you work for the court, but you may end up in court. And that's what the one thing that kind of wars me because if you work for a court, you will know there's such thing as speculation. And speculation is part of defamation lawsuits. Did you not know that? If you work at the court? Okay. Well, speculation get you in a lot of trouble in the courtroom when it comes to a civil lawsuit and a defamation case. Speculation or reckless use of the truth, or reckless, I believe it's reckless use of the truth or reckless endangerment of the truth, one of the two. Those things can not only get you sued, but they can also be screenshotted, replayed in court, put up on a projector like you're seeing what's happening with Eric Holder and the Nipsey Hussle case, and a couple other things. So this woman matter of factly put, the reason that Netflix came to their conclusion and agreed with Monique is because they knew that the EEOC was going to come in and it was going to shut them down. And you know this how, man. Have you seen a disposition of the court? Have you seen a disposition of the case? Because as of today, every major news outlet out there is all saying the same thing. We don't have the details of the case. So, ma'am, that means that you lied. And you furthered up what you said by telling another lie. Just like that woman with those kids or whatever. She was a full-time BS artist. You are too. So you guys got to realize there's a lot of women and men that are out here that will lie to you, blow smoke up your cheeks and everything else to make themselves seem like they're at some type of measure in life than what they actually have worked for. And that was my whole part of that. My whole point of saying that that woman didn't work in no courtroom. And if she did work in a courtroom, she was a stenographer, a clerk, anything but a lawyer. Okay. She might have been the attendant for the bathrooms to make sure you don't carry any contraband into the bathroom when you go to the bathroom and bring it back into the courthouse. Whatever capacity she was in, that woman wasn't a lawyer. And I know this more self, and you gave your own self away when you said, I've been in paralegal. Paralegal doesn't inclusive of being a lawyer. Paralegal means that you're actually probably working for the state and you're a public defender or maybe a probation officer or something like that. That's where the term paralegal comes from in the aspects of that. Paralegal does not come in the aspects of being a full lawyer that is actually at practice with members, with partners. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do us all a favor for those that have actually put in the work, those that have actually stayed up to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning on road trips, traveling from one part of the state to another repeatedly, and did this for probably 17 years, if not more. Please do us a favor. If you're not putting in the work, would you please stop pretending that you're something that you're not? Would you please stop lying to all of us and telling us, matter of factly, this is what happened? Because nobody knows what happened with Monique in her court case today. Not only does nobody know what happened with Monique in her case today, but I'll even go further than that. Nobody knows what Monique, her lawyers, their lawyers, and Netflix. Guys, that's my time. I just wanted to do this real quick or whatever. I know a lot of people, I did a little poll. A lot of people said they just wanted me to talk about regular life. They appreciate that or whatever the case may be. And I appreciate y'all showing up. And make sure, like I said, every week we got a goal here. I would hope that y'all would want to see me fulfill that. And make sure you donate to $STRINGERBELL80. My friend right here, TMH Global, has written that in the description box. And if you don't have Cash App, don't worry about it. We've got PayPal and we got a GoFundMe set up. And to that one person that dipped up out of here, you're the person I'm talking about. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for all your support. Later.